Hey creatives, Chris here, working on another morning sketch this morning, and I decided to try something a little new. We'll see how this works, but I'm holding my camera as I'm drawing, and we'll see how this plays out. So I wanted to talk about the idea of practice. I think a lot of people get that confused when you hear people like Steven Silver, Glenn Keane, Eric Goldberg, who told me the three P, gotta follow the three P's, which is practice, practice, practice. But I think when artists practice, I think it's different than what most people practice. And I figured, you know what, this baseball girl is probably the great example of this. Like when people think practice, they think like, oh, I gotta do a bunch of training, I gotta do like 1,000 laps in the pool. I gotta lift weights. That's the kind of training I need to do. And so they take that same mindset and apply it to their art. But the thing is, though, that's not how you should be practicing. I know. Follow me on this. I think a lot of people will do is when they practice doing their art, they're thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to show this to anybody. Like that's because it's practice. I'm not going to bother showing what I do. But that's the problem though. I feel like you need to actually show what you're actually doing. And show like the final result of that, because then you get kind of feedback from people where they like it, they don't like it. And if you follow me on my Instagram, you notice that I always put like my work in progress on art pieces. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that art should be, every single time you do a new piece, that should be your practice as well as the final result. I used to just really just focus on practicing, just drawing, and not in the mindset I'm going to show anybody about it. It was going to stay in my sketchbook forever and ever. But I found myself really disliking that, and really just not been a fan of drawing just for practice. Like there was one day I did a Twitch stream, and I realized how like this stream was basically just me drawing hands over and over and over again because I wasn't that great at drawing hands. And I came to the realization that as I'm doing it, I'm like, this is really boring. And I know practice is not supposed to be boring, but for the arts, you should be feeling engaged, feeling interested, feel really like into the piece and whatnot. But man, I was just like, you know what? I think I even stayed in there like, wow, this is really boring. And this is not how I should be working. So I decided to do, and this was like a little bit a while back, my mindset for when I practice now is that, alright, so when I practice, I am going to be working to make a final piece that I would be happy and proud of at the end. Now, mind you, you don't have to be crazy about it. You don't have to be like, oh my god, I need to do like a masterpiece each time. That's something different. By acknowledging that this is all practice, this is all just you sketching and drawing, you find yourself actually, one second, let's put some weight there. I don't know why the ends flip up. You have technique to know how to keep these from flipping up, I would love to hear it, because those have been bothering me for a while. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, right. So my mindset was that, if I'm going to practice, then I'm going to practice by. Hold on a sec. I'm going to practice by just creating art each time. Just each day, do a brand new sketch, and that will be my practice. And stuff that I like, I go, oh, awesome. I like this technique. Like even this technique right now that I'm doing, I'm inking before I actually at the end rather than at the beginning of my drawings. That was from me experimenting and practicing with this, and just learning how to draw, how to draw and everything. But like for the longest time, I used to ink, and I probably had to go over those after those lines afterwards because they're a little wiggly, as you can tell. But this was something I learned just from sketching and just taking the time to actually, in my mindset, like let's fill the sketchbook with actual art and really dive deep. And reflecting back, that was something that I learned when I was a little kid. Like, I would be doing these like really unique, really like detailed sketches, just like this. And this one's dead. Let's see, where's that fine one? Oh wait, that one's not dead. That's the fine one. Doing these really detailed sketches and finding myself really intrigued by it. Just going in and just really drawing what I saw and also what I was, and just kind of really getting the mindset of just draw and not really think about like, oh, will this be a final piece, or whether this is going to be a practice drawing. It's just a drawing. And the more you do it, the better you get. And which probably leads into the whole idea of being a perfectionist. I've stopped trying to be a perfectionist. Even with video, and I'm still trying to get over this with a lot of my drawings. And even my videos, because sometimes I get a little too caught up into the videos, whether I'm speaking correctly, and that's just more of a self-conscious thing. But with my drawings, I'm just like, you know what? Let's just focus on making something really nice. And then taking what I just drew and then just throw it up there. I've made drawings that I didn't like? Yeah. But I still post it up there. I'm thinking like, I don't think anyone's gonna like this. And then all of a sudden I'm like shocked because so many people are like loving the drawing and loving what I'm creating and whatnot. So it's sometimes a mixed bag. Sometimes you just never know. So then why worry about it being perfect? I had a couple of clients not too long ago who had this mindset of everything needed to be perfect. And at this point too, I just came to the realization that, I'm doing the best. I much rather just do the best I can. And, we work together, but I got paid and whatnot, and we were able to submit something. But even after I got my last paycheck that was at, they were still asking me for the final files of everything because they wanted to continue tweaking on it, and that's fine. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that they want to tweak stuff and whatnot, but I feel like they're gonna just continue tweaking it to the point where they're just not gonna submit it. And I don't know how that came about. I mean, I understand a lot of this is like multi-million-dollar possibilities and whatnot, and want to make sure you have the best thing out there. But it gets to the point where if you start thinking like that, all of a sudden you're not going to be able to put something out there. And that's really sad, you know? Art is supposed to be imperfect. In fact, I mean, a lot of the reasons why some of the movements of like surrealism and expressionism came about was because so many artists were so focused on making stuff that was so perfect and so like exact that people were just like, some artists rebelled against that because in their mind, it's not a challenge anymore to do something different and then try to put it out there. I feel like that's the ultimate challenge. But yeah, I mean, the practicing, always keep in mind that for every single drawing, for every single art piece that you do is practice. And in order to practice, you need to continue making art. You continue drawing, continue sketching. I feel like every single time I do an animation for Molly's Follies, it's a new practice for me for animation. You practice, in a sense, you're practicing by doing. I mean, and I think too, that's probably why a lot of artists talk about doing like Inktober and all these other like art challenges and whatnot in order to produce new art and everything, which is a great idea. I love Inktober. In fact, this whole series of drawings that I've done for the last like 2 years has been inspired by Inktober. But I decided to go a little bit farther into it and just make this as a practice. Like drawing each day is a practice for me. It keeps my skills up, keeps myself loose, and allows me to really dive deep into the drawings. And to really like learn techniques. Right now I'm kind of doing a little bit of a series on women, like women pinups, but not in the stereotypical way of doing pinups. So I'm learning ways to draw women in different shapes and sizes, different backgrounds and everything. So that's a little bit of my practice now, is to draw different kind of women from different eras, as well as like different body types and different ethnicities. Yeah, I'm liking how this one's coming out. And also too, like what I also find was practicing this way rather than just picking like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna draw 1,000 hands today, or I'm gonna draw couple of feet and then a bunch of women drawings, sketches, is that this allows me to really kind of get myself out of that mindset of when art is not working. Like there have been times on this piece where I'm like, I don't know. Like for example, like I was having issues with the legs. Like I didn't know where I want to place them, and I didn't know how long to make her arms, and then the white in the eyes. And I'm like, I don't know if this is looking really good or yellow. Like those serious doubts that you have. And I think by doing these kind of drawings, it allowed me to really kind of think differently to when I reach those roadblocks in my sketches. Because then I'm like, crap, these aren't, I don't know if this is gonna be good. And it allows me to practice in my mind of like, hey, you know what? It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You're not gonna have to start this thing all over again. Or if you need to, this is the reason why this is what happened. What did you learn from this? And how can you apply that for when you actually are going to work on a new project with a client? You want to be able to be okay if you need to start from the beginning again, or figure out a way to overcome that self-doubt. And that's almost like a practice on itself. It's practicing not doubting yourself and not doubting your ability to draw and animate or anything of your thing, because and this is almost a way to build confidence for yourself. Hopefully I'm not rambling about this, but I feel the reason why I wanted to do one of these vlogs is, especially with me drawing, is that I've met people who just feel like, man, I wish I could draw like you, or, oh man, you're so talented. And I'm like, well, thank you, I appreciate that, but this took a lot of work, and this took me a long time and a lot of practice. And I think a lot of people just think, oh, you just naturally have it. It's a mixture of both. It's the time you put in each day and what you do afterwards. With these drawings, I post them. I try to do one each morning. And if I don't finish them, I post the work in progress, because I want to showcase, hey, this is what the drawing is going so far. What do you guys think? I love feedback. But this is just a way for me to continue to practice. So, guys, remember, practice does not mean perfect. I want to get that out of there. Practice means you're improving upon yourself each drawing at a time. And if you're going to be illustrating, drawing, might as well start drawing. Try to do each sketch as a way to improve yourself for the next drawing. In fact, there's a great graph, and I think if I gotta find it, and I'll put it down in the description, about progress and learning a new skill. I gotta see if I can find it. What I love about it is the fact that when you're learning something new, all right, so it's invigorating. You're like, oh my god, I'm so good at this. You start getting good, better and better and better. All of a sudden, you start to plateau, and all of a sudden, you're like, why am I not getting better? What? I feel like my drawings aren't doing that well. What's the deal? I don't get this. Why am I sucking? That feeling that all of us have. But the thing is, though, on the graph, it actually shows learning a new skill versus your enthusiasm. And then, all of a sudden, both of those start to plateau, but it almost kind of goes it kind of goes like this. I'm going to try not to draw on the thing. It goes slowly up. You might not feel like you're improving, but you are getting better than you were the day before, a week before, and even a year before. So, always keep that in mind, that for every single drawing you do, you're improving yourself from the last time. And it doesn't have to take that long. I do these in the morning, maybe an hour or two before work. And if I don't finish it that day, I might save it for the next day. This has been a 3-day process for this drawing. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you like to see more of these kind of vlogs, let me know. I'm planning to do these with every single morning drawing. and even from like the rough sketches of one. This was like in between and finishing up and finalized, but I figured, have something a little nicer to look at. So until next time, guys, I will see you later.